buying a franchise, they often consider new locations. What are the biggest advantages of purchasing a franchise resale instead?
Well, in theory, everybody says, wouldn't it be better just to buy a business that's already cash flowing? And the answer is yes. I mean, it does sound a lot more appealing. And so there's a lot of franchises, and for whatever reason, people need to sell, or they're retiring, or they're starting something else, and that those are franchise resales. So anything that's a franchise that is an existing business that's up and running becomes a franchise resale at some point in their ecosystem or in their life cycle. So it's the same principle, because the only difference now is that, look, you're going to get the financials. So it could have been open for 5 or 10 years or 3 years. Now you're going to get financials, then you're going to have the infrastructure built out. You might have a general manager, you might have employees, the staff. So people find that appealing because they don't want to have to start from square one, even though it's a system. And because it's a franchise, it makes it appealing to people that are coming into this business acquisition, because they do have the same support and structure of the franchisor. So that's why franchise resales can be a win-win.
What are some red flags potential buyers should look out for when evaluating a franchise resale? And how can SBA financing help mitigate some of these risks?
Well, I think anytime you're buying a resale business, you gotta think that usually the seller is doing whatever they can to make the business look as pretty as possible before they sell. So the previous 2 years, they're doing everything to make that revenue look good, make the net income look good, the gross profit margins. So the question is, if they've been running this business for 10 years and you're stepping into it and you don't have the same relationships with the staff, you don't understand the business as well as they did, you know, could the business decline in revenue? Of course, we see that often. So that's one thing. The other thing is, you don't know about the company culture. You've done due diligence, but you don't really know until you're in. And sometimes there's bad blood between employees. Sometimes people are bad apples that you're already on staff. And so sometimes what happens is, once you come on board and take over this business, people start leaving. You find out all the stuff you didn't see as you're doing your due diligence, and then essentially your revenue drops, and it's like what you thought was going to be an easy business becomes a very difficult business, and you have to then, you were thinking it was going to be semi absentee, but now you're every day going in trying to rebuild it. So I think those are the things to look at in anything, whether it's a franchise resale or just a traditional business acquisition. You see a lot that people are basically making the books look as pretty as possible. Or if it's a franchise resale and they've only been open for a few years and they're already selling, that's also a potential red flag. Well, why are you selling? And usually what happens is somebody bought into this belief of running the franchise, but either the franchise model wasn't that great, or they weren't a great person to be able to follow the systems, and right, like they're basically failing, so they have to like fire sale the business. So depending on the scenario, some are good, some are bad, just like in anything. I think we have to dissect. Definitely there's pros and cons for doing a franchise resale versus a franchise startup, for sure.
Okay, great. One of the major appeals of a resale is acquiring an existing customer base and cash flow, as you've said. How should buyers assess the financials of a resale, and what role does SBA financing play in the process?
So always grab 3 years of the seller's business tax returns, year-to-date profit and loss and balance sheet. We start there. We say, is there enough cash flow based on an SBA underwriting standpoint? If no, we go, okay, well, it's not cash flowing. The only way to make this deal, financeable from an SBA standpoint is to make this type of structure, right? So then at least you understand, is there enough cash flow or not? And that kind of gives you the baseline of like what the purchase price, what the structure of the deal should look like if you were still interested in pursuing that acquisition. So I would start there, and that's how SBA really plays a big help in the beginning, because it's really like, from an SBA standpoint, is there enough cash flow or not? If not, here's the price it should be, or here's the terms it should be. So that's where I'd start.
All right. Franchise resales often come with an existing team, systems, and brand presence. What are the key operational challenges new owners might face when taking over an existing location?
Company culture, right? Like the previous owner might not have been the greatest boss, or maybe they were. Maybe people, when you come on board, they are set in their ways, and you're trying to come in and they're like, hey, I've been doing this for 5 years. Now this new owner comes in trying to tell me what to do. You're always going to get a little bit of that. And also too, you come in as a new owner. Basically, usually the franchisor still has to say, yes, we're okay with you coming in as the new owner to transfer the franchise agreement to you to be the new owner. So there is a little bit of diligence that has to take place prior to, but still, you as a new owner maybe don't have the understanding of the company culture from the franchisor standpoint. So now you might be banging heads with the franchise system, thinking, oh, I'm just doing a business acquisition. But now you have all these other people and all this other leadership team that you have to deal with. So just like we say, do validation when you're looking at a franchise to invest in as a startup, you're doing the same thing on top of doing all your financials and that kind of thing. And all the diligence you normally would do, you still want to do your basically franchise diligence, really understand the FDD and all that good stuff that goes along with it. If you're looking to grow your business, I put together an ebook. It's all about utilizing virtual team members and AI together to 10x production. If you're looking to grow organically without having a massive team and massive overhead, this ebook's for you. It's free. You can go to bizscalingplaybook.com, get your copy. It's got all the tools I use, some prompts, and much, much more. It's an evergreen book. We'll continue to add to it. Get your copy now before it's too late. Hey guys, Bo Eckstein here. If you enjoyed what you saw, please subscribe to this channel. We talk all things financing. I've been in the lending industry for over 20 years, and I'm happy to answer your questions and provide great content.